Greetings to all viewers. You are on Ruslan Belov's channel. Today we will take a detailed look at the situation on the Ukrainian front as of October 21st, 2025. The Russian armed forces continue to push forward along the entire line of contact, and we'll begin our review from the south, the Kherson sector. Over the past 24 hours, 4 precise strikes on Ukrainian positions were recorded in this area. The strikes hit the vicinities of Zmivka, Kazatske, Lvov, and Sadov. In addition, Russian artillery and drones attacked enemy positions near Dachi, and, according to available information, Russian units came under counterattacks by the Ukrainian armed forces near Oleshki. Overall, the front line here remains relatively stable without decisive changes, yet reports are coming in that merit close attention. Some sources state that Russian airborne units did manage to land on Quarantine Island and seize part of the industrial facilities there. These sites are said to be under Russian control. Eyewitnesses claim the fighting has moved deeper into the island, into residential blocks closer to the center. The Ukrainian side, however, flatly denies this, asserting that all sabotage reconnaissance groups that landed on the island were eliminated. Neither side has yet provided photo or video evidence. There are no visuals confirming Russian advances, nor proof of the landing force being wiped out. For now, only conflicting reports are available. At the same time, there are indications that Russia is preparing a second bridgehead near the settlement of Peshanivka. This is reportedly where engineering work is underway for a potential crossing of the Dnipro. Recall that Russian troops have previously tried to advance toward Pokrovsk, but the Ukrainian side said all those attacks were repelled. At present, both sides are actively employing FPV drones and artillery, and this area remains one of the most tense along the entire southern axis. Now we move to the Zaporizhzhia sector, which has seen the highest level of activity in recent days. The situation here is genuinely heated. The Russian army is pressing on several axes at once, on the western side near Stepnohirsk, and also on the eastern side in the vicinity of Huliaipol and Uspenivka, where the Vostok grouping is operating. The main development today, however, is a new push on the Kharkiv axis, which has drawn the attention of both military analysts and mapmakers, tracking shifts in the front line. From early morning, Ukrainian outlets began posting objective control footage showing how Ukrainian units were repelling Russian assaults in the Kharkiv area. The videos show Russia employing a substantial amount of armor. Tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, and even motorcycles reinforced with additional armor plating. The intent was clear: get as close as possible to Ukrainian positions and land assault groups able to dig in on the spot. The footage, roughly 7 minutes long, shows several waves of drone strikes. Some were geolocated, and some hits landed on Russian positions along the T-0815 highway between Mala-Tokmachka and Kharkiv. Based on these videos, one can conclude that Russian forces managed to enter Mala-Tokmachka and push deeper into the settlement. Analysts are actively debating how to update the maps, whether to mark captured areas partially or in full. In any case, the Russian command's plan is fairly evident: seize a line that allows control over a key stretch of the T-0815, establish a foothold, and prevent possible Ukrainian counterattacks. Control of this road opens new operational opportunities for Russia, chief among them an assault on a major defensive site, the former women's correctional facility in the southeastern part of Mala-Tokmachka. This site could be used as a hub to concentrate Russian units and launch further assaults in multiple directions, both northwest toward Kharkiv and north along the T-0814, which links Kharkiv with Huliaipol. Apparently, it is the T-0814 that holds particular interest for the Russian command, since elements of the Vostok grouping will soon be closing in on Huliaipol, and it will be crucial to deny Ukrainian forces the ability to use this road for logistics and redeployments. Returning to Mala-Tokmachka, it should be noted that there is little confirmed information on the outcome of the assault at this time. It remains unclear whether the Russian army has managed to consolidate and hold the positions it took. Clarifications will likely follow in the near future, possibly in official briefings from the Ministry of Defense. Ukrainian sources have added that attacks were conducted on 3 axes. First, in the Mala-Tokmachka area we already discussed. Second, toward Novodanilivka, where, according to the Ukrainian side, the assault was repelled, and third, in the vicinity of Novoandriivka and possibly Orikhiv, where the Ukrainian side likewise claims to have beaten back the attack. However, no photo or video corroboration has been published so far, and all the information rests on statements from the two sides. We are awaiting further data to enable a more accurate assessment of what is happening on this stretch of the front. It is possible that within the next day or so, the picture will become clearer, and we will learn whether Russian forces managed to consolidate in Malotokmachka and push farther, or whether Ukrainian forces held the defensive line. One way or another, the Zaporizhzhia axis is currently one of the main focal points of tension along the entire line of contact. The outcome of the fighting here may determine the further course of the operation and the balance of forces in the central sector of the front. Let's continue. We now shift to the eastern part of the Zaporizhzhia front, where Russian forces keep up the offensive and are advancing daily toward Huliaipol. There has not been much fresh reporting from this area in the past 24 hours, but the trend is clear. After Russian units fully cleared Poltavka and Okhotniche, they moved beyond the Poltavka fortified area and are now pushing across open ground to the west toward Veselo, Zeleny High, Chervone and Zaporizhzhia. According to available data, this is the route the Russian army is likely to keep following until it reaches the northeastern outskirts of Huliaipol. Meanwhile, Russian aviation and artillery strike Uspanivka's fortified area on a daily basis. The most intense and attritional battles are taking place here. Uspanivka remains the last major Ukrainian strongpoint on this axis. If it falls, Russian forces will have an open path to the southwest, directly toward Huliaipol. As noted earlier, the uptick in fighting near Malotokmachka may be tied to this plan, reaching Huliaipol's northern approaches via Huliaipilska and Novoselivka. The objective is to cut the T-0814, completely isolate the town from resupply, and set the conditions to encircle it. For now, however, the operation is only gathering pace, and it is too early to draw final conclusions. We now move to the Pokrovsk area, which has generated perhaps the most consequential news of the past day. The southern part of the city is steadily coming under Russian control. Estimates from various mapping resources suggest that around half, and possibly more than 60%, of southern Pokrovsk is already controlled by the Russian army. Roughly another quarter of the city is a so-called grey zone, where fierce street fighting continues. That leaves only about a tenth of the southern sector under Ukrainian control, and that only south of the railroad line. Today's map updates further confirm this trend. Recall that yesterday, Ukrainian sources, including the 7th Corps, published an extended video showing strikes against Russian positions in different districts of Pokrovsk. Several geolocations were identified at the time. One strike hit the central railway station, another the industrial zone on the northwestern edge. Today, yet another geolocation appeared confirming a strike in a different part of the city. All these materials, together with reports from neutral and pro-Russian cartographers, have helped refine the overall picture of the fighting. Judging by the available data, nearly all of southern Pokrovsk is now under the control of Russian forces. Though a complete map coloring would not reflect the reality on the ground, pockets of Ukrainian resistance still remain inside the city. According to analysts, there may be dozens, if not hundreds, of such pockets scattered throughout the southern sector. Many of these groups are effectively surrounded, with no options for evacuation or breakout. Russian forces continue their systematic advance, steadily pushing deeper toward the city center. The key development is that, according to several independent sources, Russian troops have managed to cross the railway line and gain a foothold on the northern side of Pokrovsk. At this stage, Russian units are regrouping and building up forces in the central and northwestern districts of the city. This means the battle for Pokrovsk is entering its final stage. The Ukrainian side is rapidly losing its supply and evacuation routes, and the narrow corridor that remains has long since become a deadly zone. Footage released earlier shows dozens of destroyed Ukrainian vehicles, tanks, armored carriers, and trucks hit by Russian drones during failed breakout attempts. All this indicates that any chance of leaving the city has been effectively lost. The battle for Pokrovsk is approaching its logical conclusion. Now let's move on to the Siversk-Lyman sector, where notable changes are also taking place. In Siversk itself, the situation has remained largely unchanged for several days. The main fighting is concentrated around the village of Dronivka. Russian forces are slowly but steadily advancing from the south, along the railway line from Vyimka and Pereyazdna. Reports also suggest that Russian units are tightening control over key supply routes leading towards Siversk. As for Lyman, the situation there is becoming increasingly tense. Based on recent map adjustments, the Russian army has transitioned to active offensive operations, aiming to reach the southeastern and eastern outskirts of the city. Some reports indicate that Russian reconnaissance groups have already been spotted on the southeastern approaches to Lyman, a sign that preparations for a full-scale assault may already be underway and could begin sooner than anticipated. The main news of the past 24 hours comes from the area around the settlement of Stavki, located just north of Lyman. According to pro-Russian sources, Russian troops have taken control of the road connecting Drobyshev and Stavki and have since entered the village itself. Heavy fighting is now ongoing there. The Ukrainian command is urgently sending reinforcements, but most of these columns are destroyed en route by FPV drones and precision strikes. Judging by current dynamics, Stavki may come fully under Russian control within the next few days, allowing the front line to be leveled and creating conditions for a further Russian advance on Lyman from the north. There are also reports of Russian progress in the Drobyshev area, specifically in its northern and northwestern parts. Both neutral and pro-Russian analysts confirm this information. Altogether, this suggests that the city of Lyman could soon be attacked from 3 directions simultaneously. Analysts point out that a similar situation occurred back in 2022, when Ukrainian forces, finding themselves in an analogous position, were forced to retreat toward the Siversky Donets River and later to Sloviansk. Now let's turn our attention to the northern sectors of the front. The picture there speaks for itself. The situation near Kupiansk remains extremely difficult. Russian forces have complete control over the last remaining supply road, the route that Ukrainian units had been using both to enter and to exit the encircled area. These attempts now end the same way every time. All vehicles moving along the route are destroyed by drones and artillery strikes. Kupiansk has effectively turned into a cauldron with no way out. Russian aviation and artillery continue striking Ukrainian positions in the areas of Kurilivka, Kupiansk, Uzlovyi, and Kovsharivka. Based on footage published by the Ukrainian side itself, Russian troops are also advancing within the city. Several blocks along the Oskil River are already marked as being under Russian control. Fighting continues in the central and northwestern districts of Kupiansk, and Ukrainian losses are mounting. On the Vovchansk direction, the situation is also evolving rapidly. Pro-Russian sources have released a short 13-second video showing Russian soldiers tossing an anti-tank mine into a Ukrainian position, followed by a powerful explosion. Geolocation confirms that the footage was taken in the Sinelnikivsky forest, north of the village of Sinelnikov. These images confirm that Russian forces have not only completely cleared the forested area, but have also entered the village itself. Thus, the front line is gradually moving deeper into Kharkiv region, and fighting is now expanding beyond the outskirts of Vovchansk. These are crucial pieces of objective control footage that clearly demonstrate how the Russian army continues its advance in the northeast direction. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and stay tuned. In our upcoming reports, we will continue to cover the unfolding events across all sectors of the front.